Ukraine has begun using FP-5 Flamingo cruise missiles to strike Russian energy facilities, The Economist writes. It is noted that these missiles are much faster than drones, fly at an altitude of 50 meters above the ground, have a range of more than 3,000 kilometers, and, thanks to a warhead weighing 1,150 kilograms, poses enormous striking power. If the FP-5 proves capable of penetrating Russian air defenses, it will take Ukraine's DeepStrike campaign to a new level of destructiveness. The missile's range allows it to deceive defenses by flying along constantly changing vectors toward its target, the publication writes. The article says Flamingo rockets are made from recycled Soviet-era turbofan engines, and the carbon fiber fuselage takes just 6 hours to produce. In addition, as reported by the media, Firepoint currently produces 2 to 3 Flamingo missiles per day, but the number is expected to increase to 7 this month. The publication also noted the missile's price. Each costs approximately $500,000. By comparison, the American Tomahawk is 4 times more expensive, has a shorter range, and carries a much smaller payload, although it is likely more accurate and harder to shoot down. The article also names other weapons Ukraine uses to strike Russia. It notes that approximately 60% of strikes are carried out by Firepoint FP-1 drones, which can reach targets at a range of 1,500 kilometers and have sophisticated software resistant to electronic jamming. According to Elena Kryzanovskaya, an expert on Ukrainian weapon systems, FP-1s cost only about $55,000 each, and more than 100 are produced per day. Ukraine also uses the heavier and more expensive Lyuty drone for strikes, which has a range of 2,000 kilometers. As previously reported, the Flamingo launch was shown online for the first time on August the 31st. The video showed launches from ground-based launchers and the missiles flying overhead. It turned out that Flamingos had struck 6 Russian boats in Crimea, specifically near the village of Voloshino near Amiansk. A Russian serviceman was killed in the strike. Retired Major Alexei Getman, a veteran of the Russian-Ukrainian war, explained how Flamingo missiles evaded the occupiers' air defenses and hit targets in Crimea. He explained that the key and fundamental component of any anti-aircraft missile system is the radar, which detects the target's flight path, locks on, tracks, and commands the missile launchers to destroy it. And it is the destruction of the radar by the S-400/300 systems that creates a window of opportunity for a certain period.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has visited one of his newest Navy destroyers, state media reported Monday. According to Associated Press, the visit took place Sunday, the official Korean Central News Agency reported early Monday. It's normal for North Korean media to report news a day or more after it happens. The ship was launched in April this year, and it is one of several efforts to renovate North Korea's navy. Another new destroyer this year failed its first launch, but after that was pulled back into floating position. Still photos from KCNA showed Kim getting on board the destroyer, which is called Cho Hyun, after a fighter that North Korean official history says battled the Japanese occupation. The images, which are not independently verified, show Kim looking around command centers on the ship, as well as facilities like bedrooms and a dining room. North Korean media often show their leaders looking at military accommodation. Kim's visit was part of this year's military hardware exhibition, KCNA said. North Korea has been trying to emphasize the modernization of its military, and has recently highlighted its support with soldiers of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Russian servicemen who previously served in rear units and on the border have begun to be sent to assault units because of North Korean soldiers who are now taking their places in the rear. This was reported by the I Want to Live project of the Coordination Headquarters for the Treatment of Prisoners of War. According to the resource, the wife of Sapper Daniel Ilyasov from the 89th Sapper Regiment, Military Unit 75406, recorded a video message. She said that her husband and his comrades were replaced by North Koreans, while the Russians themselves were sent to assault units on the front lines, where they likely died. The woman noted that her husband was forcibly assigned to serve as a grenade launcher operator in the 163rd Tank Regiment of Military Unit 84839. During one of the assaults, he was seriously wounded, losing fingers. When the soldiers attempted to retreat for medical attention, the commander threatened to zero them and force them to continue the assault. According to her, Daniel Ilyasov did not return after this battle and is now considered missing in action. His wife appealed to the Russian military leadership to intervene, but received no response. The I Want to Live project reports that Ilyasov's case is not isolated. The editorial office has received complaints from other relatives of soldiers who were unexpectedly transferred from the rear to the front. These relatives note that North Korean soldiers are effectively taking their places in their units, while the Russians themselves are being sent to the most dangerous parts of the front to be killed. Media previously reported that North Korea continues to supply weapons to Russia. Furthermore, Pyongyang is preparing to send additional troops to Russia to participate in the war against Ukraine. The deployment of North Korean troops may have already occurred before the end of the summer, as Moscow was planning to intensify its offensive. South Korea's National Intelligence Service recently announced its findings regarding North Korea's involvement in Russia's aggression against Ukraine. He attended a closed briefing by the NIS. Seoul is convinced that Pyongyang is now preparing to deploy additional troops to Russia that will participate in the war against Ukraine. Additional deployments could occur as early as July or August. Lee stressed. He clarified that during the briefing, NIS representatives explained that they drew their conclusions based on processes observed in the North Korean army, as well as the recent visit to Pyongyang of a high-ranking representative of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. These intentions may also indicate Moscow's plans to intensify its attacks and launch a large-scale offensive before the end of the summer. Lee Sung-kwen believes. At the same time, South Korean intelligence stated that North Korea continues to supply Russia with artillery ammunition and missiles. Moscow pays for these supplies with technical consultations on satellite launches and missile guidance systems. Reuters recalls that after information about the first deployment of North Korean troops on Russian territory and their participation in fighting in the Kursk region appeared in the public domain, Pyongyang and Moscow acknowledged this fact after months of denial. Both countries said the cooperation is based on a treaty signed by their leaders last June, which includes a mutual defense pact. The publication adds,